was actually the Vice Mayor. He's on his way. He asked that I postpone the meeting until 5:15, and I'm going to do that for him. So you might as well relax, do whatever you're going to do. Okay.
I'm going to object, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to object. I think that we're here at 5 o'clock. I want to proceed. So this is your time. You call this meeting, and I'm going to object for the record. So can we proceed?
Okay. You're posting an objection?
Under the rules, we have to proceed at 5 o'clock. You said 5 minutes. I waited the 5 minutes. I'm not waiting until 5:15.
Okay.
We need to proceed.
Is Councilwoman Ferris on Zoom?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Councilwoman Gilliams has objected to my waiting till 5:15. We're going to vote on that. If you vote yes, you agree with his objection. If you vote no, you disagree with his objection. Councilmember Gilliams.
I'm voting to proceed.
Are you voting yes on your objection?
Yeah.
Councilmember Ferris. I'm sorry.
You need to unmute
you'd
your
have
mic,
to say that
please.
again so we can hear it.
I apologize. I said, no, I don't know his situation. That's not much information, so I'm going to,
Well, I'll explain it to you real quick. The Vice Mayor just called, or he contacted Manny Annan, who called me, and asked that we wait till 5:15. He's on his way. He had an accident today, and he's on his way. And he asked we wait till 5:15, and Councilmember Gilliams objected to that, wanted to start the meeting and not wait. So a yes vote means that we
I'm
start the
willing to
meeting, and no
wait.
vote means we
If he had an
wait.
accident today, I'm willing to wait for Vice Mayor.
She's willing to wait.
You want to wait?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay,
wait.
Councilmember Hill.
I'm just saying this.
Yeah, I think we'll wait.
Okay, I vote no, we'll wait. So
Okay.
we're going to wait till 5:15. Thank you. Is arriving, so if you would put your cell phones and other electronic devices on mute or vibrate or one of those settings. So and if you need to, Charles, if you need to take a break or something, let me know. Okay. All right. Welcome to the special City Council meeting for July 1, 2020. Calling that meeting to order. To the stand for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Okay, before we move into the items, you'll notice on the agenda that there is no public input since this was a special meeting. However, there will be public input under the items as we go through them. I'm going to ask you, if you would, to keep your comments succinct and as short as possible, to the point. And also, I want to ask you to refrain from any personal attacks of any kind on anybody. I think Mr. Ben Hocker over there said something to me last week that resonated with me, and I think we need to be a little bit more tamed in our comments and public comment if we can, as we come up. So I'm going to ask you not to do personal attacks on anybody when you do that. I think it's better for the decorum if that takes place. So let's go into item number 1, which is Resolution R 20-08. I'm going to let the city attorney read that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Let me just call roll real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Roll call.
Mayor Dodd.
Here.
Vice Mayor Motti.
Present.
Councilmember Gilliams.
Here.
Councilmember Hill.
Here.
And Councilmember Paris is on Zoom. And if you'll say here. You have to unmute.
Sorry, I'm on mute.
Okay.
All right, now we'll go into that resolution.
We need,
Can you guys, somebody in the back, get Vice Mayor Malte on a hookup for his headphones? Is it on? Okay. All right.
good? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Emergency resolution number R 2008. An emergency resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, to require voluntary compliance of wearing face covering when in public, requiring that establishments that cannot maintain social distancing of staff to wear a face covering, providing for conflicts, providing for scrivener's error, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, the details behind that start on page 6 of the agenda packet. It runs from page 6, I believe, to page 4. If anyone on the council would like to make any comments or raise any questions, and we can do that, and then I'll open it up for public input after that.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to tell the public that I would typically and always be opposed to taking away people's rights or trying to legislate personal responsibility. But after delving deeply into this, I don't see this as necessarily doing that. What this resolution does is it asks people to wear masks in public. It requires people who are serving or working closely with people to wear their masks in public. So businesses are required to have folks that are wearing the masks. It recommends to the public that if you cannot socially distance, that you wear a mask. So this isn't like a requirement to everyone to wear a mask in public. Essentially what it is following the CDC guidelines with the addition of businesses are required to, if they're serving people, to have their servers wearing the masks. I've read it several times. I'm typically opposed to legislating personal behavior, but reading this thing, and I'll go through section 1 real quick of this, which provides for exceptions. Actually, I'm just going to go to section 1, number 7, which is the exceptions for those in this. Now, first, I'll just say that the city of, it says, whereas the city of Sebastian deems that during the pandemic, it is a reasonable regulation of an establishment to require its employees, while serving the public, to wear a cloth face covering in order to significantly help reduce the spread of COVID-19 and lessen the positive cases in Indian River County. That's very important that we understand we're talking about businesses here. And then as you go down to the exceptions line on number 7, it states that a face covering shall not be required for the following persons: a person under the age of 2, persons observing social distancing in accordance with CDC guidelines, persons for whom a face cover would cause impairment due to an existing health condition or disability, persons working in a business or profession who do not have interactions with other persons, persons working in a business or profession who maintain social distancing from other people, persons working in a business or profession where use of a face covering would prevent them from performing their duties as a business person, persons exercising while maintaining social distancing. So you don't have to wear a mask at the gym if you're maintaining social distancing. We're not requiring it. Persons eating or drinking, obviously, it'd kind of be hard, right? Public safety, fire, and others, because they have their safety requirements. And then the requirement shall not apply when a person who is hearing impaired needs to see the mouth of someone wearing a face covering. So essentially what this is it's just us saying, we'll go along with the county because we've been doing that the entirety of this, of the pandemic. But people are out there maybe a little concerned that the city of Sebastian is requiring that if you're walking along our riverfront that you have to wear a face mask, and that is in fact not the case. You're not required to wear a face mask if you're walking along our riverfront or at a park with your family. You're not required to wear a face mask if you're going for a bike ride or any of those things where social distancing is quite easy. Now, it may be difficult if you're in Walmart to stay socially distanced. And this requirement is voluntary, which I am always sketchy about passing laws that's voluntary. So we won't be having any enforcement on this. But I will support this because I believe that this is an actual serious issue that we face. And I also believe that it's not taking away the rights of the people by asking them to be responsible while allowing for all of the exceptions that are in place, meaning they're being responsible, right? So if we can just be social, if we can just do our social distancing thing out there, hang out with our family, we're good. You know, walk on the riverfront, you're good. Do your things at the parks. This is not in any way a requirement that if you're in the city of Sebastian that you have to have a mask on. So although very hesitantly I will be supporting this, I can tell you that it's only because I believe that it's not taking away the rights and freedoms of the people of Sebastian. It's just asking, essentially, for responsibility out of them. So I will support this resolution, Mayor Dodd.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Malty, do you have something?
No, I have no comment on that.
Okay.
I'm in favor of it.
Councilwoman Paris. Your mic is not on. You're
Your mic
muted.
again, please.
My apologies.
Okay.
I said I think it's excellent and very well done. I would add to that, driving in your car alone to be an exception. I think it's really well done. And I think we need to practice this as a society to protect each other. So I'm in favor of it.
All right. Councilmember Gilliams.
I think it's fantastic. As you know, I've been preaching this 2-3 months ago, and it's long overdue. And if it saves a life, well worth it. I still think that any public facility in the city limits, it should be mandatory that you wear a mask, whether you're within the 6 feet or not. I think that, you know, if you look around the world, the Asian Pacific, Korea, Japan, they're keeping the virus down for a reason. They understand that the mask is effective. And it's just, I'm sorry it took this long for us to get it, but I'm happy that the mayor called a special meeting made fun of me last time when I was up here, told me to take my mask off because he couldn't hear me. So I went ahead and had one made just for him tonight. So can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
I can hear you.
Good. Just so that everybody knows too that being that it's an ordinance during the state of emergency, it does require 4 votes. Thank you.
Did you want to say something about that?
No, Councilmember Gillum said it. He's asking, he would ask that you wear a mask even though you're not 6 foot apart in a municipal building, but we're saying if you're wandering, if you're moving around anywhere in the building, you have to have it. If you're in your office or you're in a meeting with someone outside, you will have to, I have my staff requiring that everybody wear a mask to visit City Hall for a meeting, whether they stay 6 feet or not. But if a staff member's in their office alone, I don't make them wear their mask in their desk.
Right.
Anyone visiting City Hall that goes to a meeting in City Hall or any city facility has to wear a mask.
Right.
That's my policy, and we do take their temperature as well.
All right. And the masks are available at the controlled entrance point to City Hall. There's a box of masks out there for people who come in without one. So it's possible to do that. I'm also in favor of this, so I don't think we have a problem with our 4 votes. I've spent some time this last week in places other than Sebastian, and every place I've been so far, I've seen the workers in the restaurants, which I didn't eat in because my wife still is not ready to go to a restaurant and eat. But they all had masks on. I did take my 2 grandchildren to Captain Hiram's for lunch one day last week, and they all had masks on, and they did a very good job internally for that. So I think we're starting to respond to it, so I'm in favor.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this?
Actually, I can go ahead and make a motion to approve R-20-08.
And I'll second that
All
motion.
right, thank you.
All right.
Mr.
Now,
Mayor?
so we have the public like to speak on this. Ma'am? Yeah, that mic is a directional mic. He'll pick you up. Is it on, Barbara? Right. All right.
Sorry, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm a Sebastian homeowner, and I'm here with regard to masks and what I feel is a reduction in our freedom. I know a lot of people who won't go out anywhere if they have to wear a mask. And so I know there's one side where people want to wear masks, and I'm all for that. There's many of us that have disabilities or are unable to wear a mask. And my concern is that we haven't had any scientific testing. There isn't any peer-reviewed studies anywhere that anyone can point to, because I've been to all the public health officers' meetings and to the county meetings as well. And so my concern is that we are mandating that all of your workers wear these things. And we're looking at liability issues and a lot of lawsuits and things like that that we haven't, maybe, I know you consider them, but my concern is OSHA has testing that's required on any mask that you wear in any of your occupations. And they test how much oxygen gets in and that type of thing. So you all, for us as a city, are going to be mandating something that's not been studied, that they are going to be calling OSHA, and then we're going to be held liable. When, in fact, if we weren't going to lose our freedom, you would also do the same thing for your employees, that you would strongly recommend, or that there's no studies yet, but we really recommend that that you wear a face mask. So my concern is, numbers-wise, we've got 157,000 people that live in Indian River County, and we have 629 cases, of which those are not ill people. I've done the numbers and the figures, and those are some people that have been tested. I know people that have been tested 4 times, and they're all positives because they have immunity. That number never comes off. When someone gets sick at Publix and has COVID, everybody gets retested, and those never come off of those numbers. So how sick are we, and do we really have a state of emergency is the question. Looking at 157,000 people with 629 cases, we are looking at such a small 0.002 or 3, if we even take those numbers as being legit, and not because, as we've been told by doctors and nurses here, but those numbers are actually because we get some more money in our hospitals. If we have like a guy I know that got gored by a bull out here on Roseland, he ended up dying from that, and he was, quote, a COVID death, and it had nothing to do with COVID. So we have 16 people who've died in our county, sadly. And if you look at our percentage, we're looking at a 0.000, 4 zeros and a 9 is our percentage of the population that there are any fatalities with. And our fatality, according to our governor, and all of the numbers I'm looking at today, he says from February to March, we are in such better shape. We have no hospital risk. We're at 35 to 45% available beds in our hospital. When we started, we were at 12.5 to 20% before COVID. So we're looking, even at health care acquired infections in the hospital are such a higher percentage of this. So it really depends. When we have 5 people, according to the head of Cleveland Clinic last Friday in the public health officers meeting, 5 people were in the hospital on Friday, last Friday, for COVID-related illness. That does not sound like a state of emergency to most of us. 51 people are all that's been hospitalized over the last 4 months. And so that's not even a bad flu year for us here. In 2017, we had 29 people die in Indian River County from influenza. Now we've got 16. And we are screaming with our hairs on fire that we've got to shut down everything, ruin our economy, and on top of it, now we're going to take away rights. And what I'm hearing is that's only until there's a vaccine. So, Councilmember Hill, as you were speaking about rights, what they're saying, what they said last Friday, is then they're going to want to mandate a vaccine. If you want to leave your house, you will have to be mandatorily vaccinated, which is absolutely an invasion of your personal health rights in our country.
Ma'am, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, so our issue is, please don't mandate anyone to have to wear masks or vaccines. And I thank you for your time.
Sure thing, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Grace Reed, City of Sebastian. I'm fully in support of this resolution that y'all have put together. I realize that it says requiring and it also says voluntary. So it is a voluntary if you want to wear a mask, and it's voluntary for the business to say, my associates will wear a mask. It's also voluntary if you go into a place, they're not wearing masks, you can always turn around and you can leave if it so bothers you. Anyone who is offended by someone asking them to wear a mask, I couldn't be offended because they are either protecting themselves or they're trying to protect me, and I would appreciate that. I would rather see them voluntarily require the masks and stay open than possibly risk closing because of an illness in their business or another, God help us, mandatory closure. One thing regarding the council chambers itself, I do believe that a mask should be worn when we enter and until we're seated because obviously we're all physically distanced and I don't think this microphone is going to catch anything. The masks do muffle and I think that it's only courteous that everybody in the room be able to hear, and especially your city clerk who has to actually capture all of these words. So I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Andrea Ring. You all know I have hearing problems and I get dirty looks all the time from people because I do not wear a mask at all. And when I ask people to please take their mask off so I can understand what you're saying to me, they get offended. So I understand that you understand that the mask stops nothing. It doesn't stop the virus from spreading. The virus goes right through the mask unless you have the very expensive mask that does the air filtering. So I just don't want to see you make it mandatory. Maybe we can do something that's a little more effective, maybe we can ask for the shield, because if people wear a shield, is just as effective as wearing a mask. And then we can still be talking to each other, and in an emergency, I will know what you're saying to me. So, that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Is there
Mayor
anyone
Dodd.
outside who would like to, oh, I'm sorry. Go
Mayor
ahead,
Dodd,
sir.
real quick. Mayor Dodd.
Yes.
Real quick, it looks like we've got some pretty substantial storms coming in, and I was wondering if there's any chance to allow folks to put a mask on and go into the other room to
I don't have any problem with that.
get out of those.
Officers, do you guys have a problem with that? We
Is
got
there a chance we can get them some masks and to get them out? Because it looks like it's going to be pretty substantial. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Ben Hawker, Sebastian. We have federal guidelines for the virus. Don't do this, don't do that. And we have state guidelines. Why are we rewriting and doing anything different? If you can tell me what's different between our ordinance that we're just going to write and what the state directs and what the federal government directs, what's the difference? Are we just doing something to put it on paper? I go to the doctor's office, I get the temperature taken. I couldn't go in just to do the blood work until I was tested. And multiple places are doing that. They're doing it on their own and/or maybe it's state or federal. Why are we getting involved in this? It's no different to me than what I've already heard, seen on the federal level and the state level. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else who wants to speak? Yes. Go ahead.
Good evening, Betsy Field Connolly. I think I have more of a question. Reading, requiring that establishments that cannot maintain social distancing of staff to wear face coverings. Is that enforceable, and by whom?
I'm actually going to let the city attorney address that.
If I may, there's a B.
Yeah.
Part of the question, and if, I guess establishments needs to be defined. I think I know what is meant, but you know what happens when you assume.
The resolution does have an enforceability.
God, really?
Give 1 second.
Okay.
It's on the emergency resolution. It talks about misdemeanor in the second degree, and it quotes the statute. So there is an enforceability. I think it's the question she was asking. And I forgot the second question about B. Oh, okay.
Establishments. And I think that was, you're going to get that?
Any business that's open for public access is an establishment.
Right.
Okay. I could not hear most of what the city attorney said.
All right, he said there is an enforceability. It's a Class 2 misdemeanor. So it's probably, knowing the Sebastian Police Department, it's probably going to be an education program before they start enforcing that.
You want to read that?
They're not going to write a misdemeanor ticket to an establishment the first time they walk in the door, but they do have the ability, if they choose to enforce that as a Class 2 misdemeanor.
So this is new legislation.
Well, this is a copy.
Based on what we're learning about the pandemic?
The county passed the same basic resolution on Monday, right?
It went into effect.
Went into effect.
Mayor, it went into effect Monday, the 29th.
Went into effect on Monday, they did on Friday. What happens when the county passes a resolution like this, we have consistently, the municipalities stayed in sync with the county or tried to stay in sync with the county Vero Beach has passed a resolution slightly different than this. Fellsmere is, I understand, parodying the county's resolution.
That's my understanding.
That's the understanding. I haven't seen it yet. And so what we're trying to do, this resolution parrots the county's resolution pretty straightforwardly.
Okay.
So our attempt is to stay in sync with the
I'm not disagreeing with
county.
it, I just want, you know, things need to be clarified for me sometimes.
And I think what Councilmember Hill was saying about, you know, trying to force people their rights, I don't think anybody's going to start throwing people in jail for not wearing a mask. The objective is to try to make people understand that if they can't social distance, they kind of have an obligation to try to help protect society from this disease, and we're asking them to fulfill that obligation, basically.
Mr. Mayor, if I can really quick,
Yes.
just for the citizen, maybe because I was wearing my mask, I took it off. But on page 3 of the resolution, on that first paragraph called emergency resolution, there you'll see where it says a misdemeanor, and it makes reference to the Florida statute. That's your question for enforceability. And to answer your question about establishments, you look on page 2, section 1, number 1, kind of generalizes what an establishment is. Restaurants, grocery stores, and things like that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And just as an FYI, and Mr. Mayor, because I'm addressing you,
Yes,
even though
ma'am.
it may not apply to you,
I understand.
in those wonderful chairs that you have, there are members that like to lean back and be comfortable, which is wonderful, but now you're this far from the microphone, and I'm having real trouble. I'm sitting right there and having trouble hearing some of you, so please get closer when it's your turn. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Ma'am in the back.
Hello, Nadine Evans, Sebastian, Florida. I just have a question, probably for the city attorney. How long is this going to be in effect?
Until the declaration of emergency is canceled.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you for having this meeting. It's going to be a long night. My name is Charles Stadelman. I'm a resident of Sebastian, Florida, and I am what I am. There's been a lot of talk about masks and such. Everybody knows my position on it. My position really doesn't matter because I'm a little extreme in some things. But I would like to present the other positions of people who have a lot more say in this than I do. Today, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention now says everyone should wear a cloth face cover when they go out in public. This comes from the CDC. This isn't from me. This isn't from the mayor. This isn't from the attorneys. This comes right from the top of the heap. Everyone should wear a cloth face cover when they go out in public. The reason why I'm so passionate about this, I had a close family member die of COVID just recently. Very upset about it. Somebody, Jeremy, came in, breathed on him. He was fine. He was healthy. He's a big guy. And I'm not exactly a small guy. The guy's bigger than me. Died within 4 days. Just ridiculous. Cloth face coverings are meant to protect other people in case the wearer is unknowingly infected but does not have symptoms, directly from the CDC. That's a quote. You don't know if you got this disease. That's the problem with it. It has such a long incubation period, 14 days. This is not the flu. And I'd like to comment on that. If China thought this was the flu, a communist country, a do not care about your citizens country, if this was the flu, they would not shut down 1.5 billion people if this was the common flu. They're not telling us everything. We're trying to do what we can to protect ourselves. The benefits go both ways. This comes directly from the CDC. This was just released today, so everybody may not have this. We know that there's scientific evidence that masks keep both you from infecting others, but may also partially protect you. It's only about a 55% protection, and that's a new discovery and a new finding. So everything that everybody said here today, I haven't heard anybody quoting any professionals on this, and I'm trying to get better at doing that because, again, I'm a little extreme. This comes from University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. Again, another one of the top dogs. If 95% of Americans wore face masks in public, it could prevent 33,000 deaths by October 1st. This is July, August, September. 10,000 people a month we can save just by putting this stupid thing on. And you don't have to wear it all the time. I have been an essential worker as much as I can be since March. I haven't gotten a normal paycheck since March, even though I have just recently started. I'll have to caveat that. But I've been out and about. I've been in hundreds of people's homes, dealing with the general public. Everything. I wear my mask. You guys have seen me with my respirators on. I have a more aggressive respirator than this. So you wonder why the guidance on face masks has changed since the pandemic started. Again, this is a novel coronavirus. We do not know if once you get infected, you have immunity. If anybody here can absolutely guarantee me that, then I'll probably go out and get myself infected so I don't have to deal with this anymore. Then I can actually go work where I need to work because I'm not going to worry about spreading it to somebody else. And again, I'm passionate about this because my uncle just recently died from this. Be glad to show you his pictures. Nobody was there for him.
Charles, you have about 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. It's easy to spread the virus just by talking or breathing. The coronavirus is highly contagious. Each person with the coronavirus infects on average another 2 or 3 other people. That makes it twice as contagious as the flu. Again, this is not the flu. It's easy to spread the coronavirus without any symptoms, asymptomatic carriers or pre-symptomatic carriers. The virus has a long incubation period, up to 14 days. Carriers may be contagious in the first 48 hours they get the symptoms. So guess what? If one of you guys are infected or contagious here, none of you are going to know for a couple of days until you go infect 10 other people. Just wear the mask. I thank the City Council for standing up and doing what they need to do. Thank you, Mayor Dodd. Thank you, Councilman Gilliams. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Ma'am. There it is.
I'd like to say I'm a resident of Sebastian, and I cannot wear a mask. I was in my doctor's office at Cleveland Clinic, and my heart rate went up so high, and my oxygen level, and I almost passed out. And I can't breathe with those things on, no matter what.
Well, and in this resolution is an exemption for people who have the same issues that you do that can't wear a mask. You're actually exempted from being required to wear a mask in this resolution. So, okay. Sir?
Well, I'll just say social distancing is applicable.
Yes, yes. All right, do I have anybody else who wants to speak?
We have to remember that the same people that told us that millions of people would die and shut down our economy and told us that face masks weren't effective, now they said that they are effective. They don't know. Sunshine, fortunately, Florida, we have a lot of sunshine. All I'm saying is you're not getting all the facts. We don't know. Why require something when we don't know if it's effective?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak?
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Bob Sebastian and Sebastian Cromwell.
What's your last name, sir?
Betta, B as in boy, E
Thank
as in
you.
Edward, D as in David, E as in Edward, A as in apple.
Fantastic, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, my response is, if we follow what the CDC says, then we are following a corrupt organization because they're a vaccine-making company, not a watchdog for our public safety. But that being said, I think you conducted yourselves well on this matter.
Anyone else? Thank you. Council, do you have any other comments on this?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
I have 3 people on
Don't forget
Zoom.
Zoom.
Oh, you have somebody on Zoom?
I'm sorry?
I've got 3 people on Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zoom. Bring the first Zoom person in, please.
Leslie?
Leslie Wayman of Sebastian, Florida. I have one issue with the wording of wearing a cloth mask. I think you should change to it be either cloth or the medical. They are available in more stores now. They are also better for anyone who has asthma, COPD, or any sort of breathing condition. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the CDC guidelines recommends the more expensive mask be reserved for medical personnel, that the cloth face covering is sufficient, but to save the more expensive ones, that doesn't say someone can't wear the better mask,
Right.
but they do implore that the N95 mask be saved for medical and emergency response personnel.
All right, thank you. Next Zoom person, please.
DG?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, your name, please.
It's Derek, Gary, Sebastian resident. I just had a question. Are face shields included in this? Because it just keeps saying face mask or cloth mask, where the face shield is actually, from what I understand, more effective, especially if you're not wearing glasses, where if a droplet gets in your eye, you can still become infected.
Okay, the city manager is shaking his head, indicating that face shields would be useful, but I'm going to let the city attorney address that also, just to make sure.
CDC guidelines do allow for face shields, and so it would be acceptable, acceptable protection.
Okay, all right, so
Thank you.
face shields would be acceptable.
Thank you.
All right, next person, please.
Lynn? Lynn Fairchild?
No? All right, anyone else?
That is it.
Okay, council, any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Under the emergency resolution there on page 3 or 4, under the statute there, before a summons is issued for a punishable under the section 775, do we add in there that after maybe 2 warnings? I don't know what the attorney has to say about that.
I'll let the city manager, he wants to opine about that, but this is up for discussion.
Yeah.
I would leave, if I could, Mayor, I would leave it to the discretion how egregious it is when the code enforcement or someone's called to that establishment. If it's so egregious that 2 warnings wouldn't suffice, or if it's so minor that maybe it was one employee who didn't follow the rules, it's just like speeding tickets. It should be the discretion of the person, I think, is my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think we have any history with the Sebastian Police Department being overly aggressive at these kinds of things. So, I tend to agree with that.
So the consensus of the board is not to give any warnings at all and leave the discretion up to the police department?
Yes, I mean, that's what I would think. Anyone else on the council have any comments about that?
No.
No, okay.
No?
Yeah.
Well, just in closing, I just want to say that it's a great day in Sebastian. It's nice that the mayor is able to call a meeting instead of canceling a meeting. And this is what I've been fighting for in the past, based on the April 22nd cancellation of the meeting. So it's nice to have everybody come out here.
Councilmember Gilliams, we're talking about
I just
we're
wanna
talking about
say
this
this is a
motion,
very
and I'm not
important-
interested in
it was
hearing
a
about
very
April
important
22nd
event.
or me canceling meetings.
And I want to thank the mayor for being able to call that emergency meeting and us having to go to court and fight for it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just One more reason why the next item's on the agenda. All right,
I
we
have
have a
just a couple-
motion on the floor, and we have a second?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a couple of statements, and I understand the concerns that people have, and I understand them more than you know. I am super free will. I am super personal responsibility. I believe that you know, a personal responsibility and the rights of people in America are paramount. And I would never do anything that I felt would impede on the personal responsibility of people. And you all are not being stopped from going down the sidewalk without your masks. And it's very important for me. And I struggled with this because it's like, you know, I very rarely wear a mask. Y'all can be mad at me, but I very rarely wear it. But I understand both sides. I understand that there are people who are afraid. And I understand that there are people who are like, you know, the government's a bunch of b-holes. I didn't want to say the other way because I don't want to be in trouble. And they're lying to us, and you know, so there's conspiracies on both sides. And I'm like just this guy that wants to be free, but I also want everyone to be healthy. So I like the exceptions that are in this thing, and I think it's very, very solidly written. And I will support it. And it's reluctant that I do because, you know, the only thing I'm reluctant here is because it's like it's voluntarily mandatory. You know, I think those things right there are kind of like weak. You know, so it's voluntarily mandatory. But I believe that it would be better for us to express that we strongly encourage people to wear masks. But I will go along with this because from the beginning, the city of Sebastian has said that we are going to be in line with what the county does. Now, I think the county does some bad things sometimes. So if I ever felt they did a bad thing, then I wouldn't be in line with them. I think this is good. It's acceptable to me. The moment I feel that this thing should be lifted, I will be bringing it up to lift this. So, right. You know, it's with reluctance, but I understand both sides on this. Thank you, sir.
And I agree with Councilmember Hill. I'm not as strongly an advocate of this as it, you know, it might appear. I think our government messes with us way too much, but I think that I believe that COVID-19 is as serious as they say it is. I absolutely believe that. And the one thing that turned me towards this was last Friday evening. I watched one of those shows on Discovery Channel where they took one of these masks, just like that, and they did a pure study on the distance that a cough travels from the individual with various types of mask in play. And with this mask right here, the droplets from the cough went 1.5 feet on average from the person when they coughed. Without the mask, they went from 6 to 9 feet. So if me having this mask on and coughing, which I do periodically, and I don't think I have COVID-19, but everything that I'm hearing is that many of us have it and don't think we have it because we don't suffer symptoms from it. In fact, one of my good friend's brothers just tested positive, and he's never been sick. And he's not sick today. But if it helps people that I might be around a little bit, potentially, I think it's worth doing. And I've actually, since Friday, I've worn my mask a lot. And I was like, Jim, I wasn't necessarily wearing it as much as I should before then, but that little presentation kind of convinced me it was time to do it. So I'm ready for this. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Motti?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliams?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
Councilmember Paris?
Yes.
And Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. We're on to item number 2.
Mr. Mayor, before you get started on this, may I?
Yes,
Who directed the city attorney to draft this?
I did.
Okay, and isn't it saying in the charter that it requires a consensus of this board to direct the city attorney?
That's exactly why it's on the board. And I'm going to explain exactly why I asked the city attorney to draft it before I have him read the title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just so the people in the audience understand what this is a resolution by the City of Sebastian City Council to request that Governor DeSantis suspend 2 council members based on the actions that they took on the 22nd of April and based on the charges filed by the State's Attorney's Office against those two individuals. I have known that this was possible for some time now. I haven't done it because I was trying to see if we couldn't just move forward with business. But quite frankly, the performance last Wednesday with a consultant who came in to give us a presentation for a project, as well as when I found out the items, and I read the letter by Councilmember Gilliams, and I found out about the items that he was adding to the agenda this evening, it made me come to the final realization that there is no rehabilitation. And I can't, and I'm not asking for any, I'm not asking for any comments from you. You're not recognized.
Is that civility?
Yes, it is civility, okay? I'm not saying you're a bad guy. So the reason that I talked to the city attorney about putting this on the agenda tonight to see if the council supports it. Council doesn't have to support it. They may not. I don't know. But I asked this to be put on the agenda tonight because I felt like that it was time for us to take this step so we can move forward and try to get rid of this business. This council has, and before it, over the next 3 months, some extremely serious issues that we have to deal with. And I have just come to the realization, in my opinion, that it's very difficult for us to have a civil meeting and deal with serious issues. And that's the reason that I put this on the agenda. So if the city attorney would please read the heading.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First of all, just for clarification, it's actually Resolution 2009. We just had 2008. That was a scrivener's error.
Okay, so it's 2009.
It is Resolution 2009.
Correct.
Okay, a resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, requests Governor Ron DeSantis to intervene and remove Councilmember Damian Gilliam and Councilmember Pamela Parrish immediately as a result of Councilmember Gilliam's arrest on June 16, 2020 for 3 counts of violation of the Sunshine Law, Florida Statute 286.011, sub 3, sub A, and 1 count of perjury. Councilmember Parrish was arrested on June 16, 2020 for 1 count of violation of the Sunshine Law, Florida Statute 286.011, sub 3, sub A, and 1 count of perjury. Pursuant to Article 4, Section 7A of the State Constitution, pursuant to Section 112.51, sub 1 and sub 2 of the Florida Statute, authorizing the city attorney to send the governor's office a letter requesting to remove 2 council members, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for effective date.
Mayor Dodd, I'd move to approve resolution number R-20-09.
And I'll second that. All right, before we have council discussions, anyone from the public like to speak on this? And I'm going to ask you when you come up, be civil. Okay, ma'am.
Mayor Dodd, if we could get them to line up also, just to get on the X's, that would just make things a lot quicker.
Okay. If you're going to wear your mask when you line up, that's great. The officer can keep you kind of separated or something. So if you want to get in the aisle and line up, that's fine.
And on Zoom, can you please raise your hand? That way we know you want to speak as well.
Okay. On Zoom, if you'd like to speak, raise your hand at this point, please. Ma'am, go ahead.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank the council for generating this resolution, and I encourage the 3 council members to approve. It is past time for this council.
Who are you?
Your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Grace Reed, Sebastian. And I'm kind of like a bad penny, I'm going to be up a lot.
Grace Reed?
Grace
Reed?
Reed, R-E-E-D.
Thank you.
You're muffled, by the way. It's past time for this council to get back to the business of the city without having to endure one member overtaking the meetings with hour-long presentations of past business, embarrassing presenters, or any other antics that put this city at risk of fines or expensive legal settlements. We also need council members that can think for themselves and not simply be a follower to agree with others ranting. I sincerely hope that the governor listens to our request to save this city from more costs and embarrassment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Vera Render. I live at 852 Mulberry Street in Sebastian. Been a resident here 36 years. I vote. I pay my taxes on time, and I also signed the petition to have this removal from the recall for these people who are causing us problems. I appreciate your effort to do this. This has been nothing but an embarrassment to the city, to me as a citizen, and I'm very upset over the challenge onto Chief Morris, who is retired after 33 years of dedicating her life to this city. For him to throw another accusation at for a member of this council to throw another accusation at our former police chief, this particular person has already proved that the statements he made before were false. I've asked for an apology, which has not come. And it appears that because of last meeting, when she read the facts of the case of his arrest, this appears to be pure retaliation. And for this to come from the council that I elected is an insult to me as a citizen and a voter. And I truly appreciate your effort to try to remove these problems because it will lead to litigation. That I promise.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Hi, I'm Louise Cottenberg, and I live in the city of Sebastian and have for approximately 25 years. The purpose of this council and every council is to conduct the business of the citizens of this city. It doesn't have to be conducted unanimously, but it does need to be conducted. The past several weeks, we have seen a tremendous attempt to hijack the business of this city. It's wrong for the council, it's wrong for the citizens, it's wrong for the city of Sebastian, and I encourage you to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Michelle Morris. That's M-O-R-R-I-S. I really hope that at least 3 of you vote to remove 2 of these individuals. It is, it's been way too long. We've had to deal with one of our councilmen who continues to defame people and is trying to bankrupt our community. 2 members have been arrested for perjury, meaning they lied. One of the first things we learn as children is we do not lie. We tell the truth, right? When we have kids, we tell them to own up to your responsibilities. Neither of these are owning up to their responsibilities, and they need to be removed. One of the council members is being disruptive. He's rude, he's a bully, he's a liar, and makes things up for sensationalism. This seriously impacts how the city does business. In their affidavits, I want to remind you all that Gilliam's and Paris exchanged 43 phone calls. Okay, 2 council members that you are asking to be removed.
No attacks, if you will.
No problem.
Please. No
2
attacks.
council members that you are asking to be removed by the governor exchanged 43 phone calls and 250 text messages from the moment they were elected to April 18th, and 20 phone calls between these 2 individuals from April 19th at 6 p.m. and April 30th. Also 19 text messages. They both lied to investigators about their contact. We can never trust them again. They have lost the citizens' respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy Connolly, Sebastian voter for close to 3 decades now. I could not be more pleased to see and hear about this resolution. And I'm demanding that you approve this and pass this and make it happen ASAP. And, you know, the 2 people we're talking about do not deserve the honor of their titles. They have proven over and over again that they are not fit and we cannot move on as long as they do what they do. I'm tired of it. We're all tired of it. We want our city back. We deserve better.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nadine Evans, Sebastian, Florida. I felt it was necessary to speak before this council because of the nonsense that has been going on lately. This meeting was called to discuss the mandating of face masks for the residents of the city of Sebastian, period. Not for one of the council members to load the agenda with items of his own. Tonight's meeting will probably turn into another 4+ hour comedy show full of theatrics and tantrums. The words Sugar Sand, March 18th, and April 22nd are sure to be mentioned. The beautiful city of Sebastian has become nationally known, and it's not for our beauty. It's because of the corruption of some of the council members. Members who have been charged and arrested and are out on bail, charged with perjury, which is lying, and violations of the Sunshine Law, which is sneaking around behind the backs of the citizens. I believe that these members should not have a say in what happens in the city. They do not have our best interests at heart. There is a story about a traveler who came upon a snake. The snake was cold and tired. It begged the traveler to pick it up and carry it for a while. The traveler was wary because snakes are known for biting. The snake assured the traveler that if he helped the snake, he would definitely not bite him. So the traveler, being kind and generous, picked up the snake and carried him inside his jacket to keep it warm. Eventually, the snake bit the traveler. The traveler was shocked and exclaimed to the snake that it had promised not to bite. The snake looked at the traveler and said, "You knew what I was when you picked me up." The citizens of San Sebastian are kind and generous. They saw someone running for council time and time again. The person claimed to have the city's best interests at heart. He would be its watchdog, helping to save the city money and ending corruption. We have been bitten. We knew what would happen. Let's never allow this to happen again.
Thank you. Ma'am.
My name is Ruth Kovleski. I'm a voter and a citizen of Sebastian. And I wanted to let you know that I moved away from Sebastian in 2016 for several years. And I was so excited to move back. I moved back in February, in the middle of COVID, right at the end of February. And not only that, I was just shocked when I told my friends about what a great place I was moving to. And I saw the change and what happened in the council from when I left to now. And I was appalled at what I saw in a meeting last week and that I read about and saw indictments and things. Totally shocked and embarrassed, quite frankly. And I appreciate those of you that have not done that, and I appreciate those of you who have conducted themselves well since that time. But I absolutely support, and I'm glad to see that we're trying to do something. I've signed a petition, and I'm hoping all the rest of them are turned in, but I sure would like to see our governor remove these two parties as soon as possible. Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening. I'm Christopher Nunn, that's N-U-N-N, of Sebastian, Florida. So a couple things tonight. One, I would like to notice that also was notified today that a council member notified a friend, the same friend that likes to intimidate and threaten us. By the way, after the last council meeting, every member that spoke against one of the items was threatened and intimidated and harassed by the person that didn't get his item passed. I hope that same person doesn't contact us again tomorrow. That happens to be a good friend of somebody on council. Also, having a council member talking to a friend and having them talk to another council member is a Sunshine Law violation. I have proof and information to lead that for the state attorney that is watching tonight. You know, you got on council, it took all those years. There's a great opportunity to do what needed to be done up here. There was a great opportunity to show that you could be the person that some people thought you could be. It's disappointing that we're here today. This isn't a happy day. Mr. Mayor, this is a sad day. This is a sad day that we have to do this to get our city back. Good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Nicholas Shiskowski, Sebastian. It's hard to believe that these two council people can speak the truth. Based upon the charges against them, I know people would say that you're innocent until proven guilty. But as I collected signatures at Riverview Park this weekend, I can tell you the court of public opinion doesn't support that. Now, we'll be collecting more signatures tomorrow at the clock tower from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So anybody who wants to come down, sign the petition,
Sir,
we'll be
no,
there.
no.
Thank you.
Andrea Coy, 501 Palm Avenue, City of Sebastian. First, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for calling the meeting for the Mass. That indeed is a reasonable and rational special meeting request. That's what we expect when we hear special emergency meeting. Well, none of us are happy to be here tonight, and the only reason we really are here tonight is because someone decided to add a whole bunch to the agenda of non-essential, non-emergency crap for his personal agenda. I'm going to read to you the letter that I wrote to Governor DeSantis. I will try to leave out the names,
Please do.
but they're in here for the governor. And I expect that you will pass this resolution tonight. Honorable Governor Ron DeSantis, the city of Sebastian desperately needs your help in giving us temporary relief from an abusive and vindictive council member and his corrupt partner in crime. Both council members have been charged with criminal violations of the Sunshine Law and perjury. As a result of their poor judgment and willful violations of the law, the city of Sebastian is being sued by professional litigators for violation of the Sunshine Law. Additionally, one of the council members continues to libel and slander former elected officials, current local business owners, the former chief of police, and the former city manager. The city has been put on notice to cease and desist the defamation, yet this particular council member continues his personal vendetta against his perceived enemies. Tonight we are attending yet another special call city council meeting. Originally, the meeting was scheduled to discuss making masks mandatory in the city, which truly merits an emergency discussion. However, a certain council member couldn't leave this opportunity to address his personal grievances, to let it go by, so he hijacked the meeting and added 6 non-essential, non-emergency agenda items late yesterday afternoon. As a result of this unnecessary nonsense, another council member added a resolution to ask you to intervene by removing so and so. Plenty of people will be at the meeting and on Zoom, by removing Gilliam's and Paris. That's right in the resolution. You can't tell me not to mention that. It's in the resolution. We're asking the governor to remove those 2 people. Plenty of people will be at the meeting and on Zoom to support the resolution to suspend Gilliam's and Paris tonight. We are hoping you will watch this on Zoom, and the instructions for participation have been attached to the email. Please try to witness the one particular council member's show. You will understand why we have formed a pact to recall these 2 individuals. I'll skip that part. Our beautiful city, the recall will eventually happen, but in the meantime, our taxpayers are paying a high price for the violations of the Sunshine Law, perjury, libel, and slander. Our beautiful city is the laughing stock of Indian River County, and our reputation is in the toilet. Please give us some relief and flush this mess so we can get on with the economic recovery. Governor DeSantis, I don't need to remind you that we are struggling with a pandemic. One council member has no regard for our health and safety, and he is abusing his position on city council during a pandemic to exact personal vengeance on local folks he perceives as his enemies. I have attached the meeting agenda so you can read how disturbing his thinking is. Please read his special meeting agenda remarks. Item 6, dealing with the public rebuke of former chief of police, references Florida Statute Chapter 870, a phrase, riots, routs, unlawful assemblies. This council members wants us to believe that riots, routs, and unlawful assemblies are the same as a public health emergency, which we are currently under. We know the difference, but this council member still tries to manipulate the laws, rules, and circumstances to his advantage and to the detriment of others he wishes to demean and destroy. Please, please pass this resolution.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir.
Ben Hocker, City of Sebastian. This has nothing to do about the 3 council members. What I'm looking at is the fact that if I was arrested, or the mayor, under whatever, this council right now is not doing justice. You're looking at a case which you and I might win, or we might lose. You're sending this to the governor to direct him to tell his state attorneys, who are the ones that are working on the case, you're jumping the gun. They've been charged, but not proven. And if you send the letters in and they win, where are you at that point? Where are we at that point?
Okay, I can answer that. This is a request to suspend pending the litigation on the criminal charge, and if they are still, if they're still on the council, which they would be unless removed for other reasons, and they win the case, they're back on council. We're just asking for a suspension during the final litigation of the case.
Well, then any court case the city is up against with any other person, organization.
There's charter. Our charter basically stipulates that the council member should be removed for malfeasance, and that's exactly what this is. So I have no compulsion at all about an issue with this. I understand they're innocent until proven guilty, but I also understand we've got to get on with business.
You're right in that respect. But again, I think you're pushing the issue early. The governor has got enough damn problems in this world. And so do the state attorneys. And this is a minor case to the state, if I'm not mistaken. This is a slap in the wrist after they have judgment on it.
This isn't a minor case for the city of Sebastian.
I didn't say it wasn't for us. The state goes through this constantly. And what is the repercussion of it from the state after they're proven either guilty or innocent? And if they're proven guilty, what occurs? A slap on the wrist? I don't have the answer.
I don't either.
Maybe the attorney does.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon Herman, Sebastian. I'm just begging you, please, to pass this resolution. We realize that it's just a request to the governor. It's not forcing his hand. He's got his hands full. But many of us have been emailing the governor as well as our state representatives to let them know that we've got a situation here and we need some relief. We're moving as fast as we can, but we need relief sooner than that. Our citizens, our council, we deserve better. And we deserve to be able to logically, civilly, intelligently be able to address current, important, and pertinent issues in a timely manner. As we can see is a perfect example for tonight, a meeting that should have been maybe 15, 20 minutes long for a resolution to help protect our citizens is going to be another drag-on event. There's more than enough evidence to support this. Michelle's giving you the facts, giving you the numbers. Please, we're begging you. The citizens are begging you. Pass this resolution. Maybe the governor can give us a hand. Thank you.
Just the beginning of the long night.
Yeah, your name again, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My name is Charles St. John Stadelman. I live in Sebastian, and again, I am what I am. One of the reasons why I'm talking to you right now is because I too was not investigated, what would it be, not interrogated, but I was questioned by the state attorney's office in relation to Mr. Councilman Gilliam's I sat there in that office, in the state attorney's office, for the first time in my 50-odd years of life. And that's saying a lot. Never have I been questioned so directly, so harshly. I did not end up with a perjury charge at the end of that. I did not end up with any charge after that. Again, the phone calls come. Is everything, this is honest truth? Yes. Well, great. Maybe you don't know what the definition of perjury is. The definition of perjury is the offense of willfully, not a mistake, not an honest mistake, but willfully telling a lie after having taken an oath or affirmation. So what that means is that, just like myself, because we're all talking about the same case here.
Look, Charles.
Yes, sir. The interrogation by the state's attorney's office feels kind of like a colonoscopy, if everybody's been there. It's prodding done by a professional who's asking you these nice questions. How does this feel? For me, it was a process that I've never had to experience before. I was shaken when I was going there, but I felt really good after I left because I know I didn't commit perjury. To commit perjury, you have to be under oath. You have to knowingly lie about something that's relevant to the case at hand. Now, you can make a mistake. An honest mistake is fair. But when you're under oath, those mistakes are going to cost you. And it's probably going to cost you your job. The worst part about this, though, is I have 5 kids. So my son, I wish I could show you his picture right here, is in the United States Army. My son right now is in the middle of jungle training. He's out trying to capture animals to eat because he hasn't eaten in a week. He's out learning how to engage the enemy in a proper manner, dispatch that enemy to win the fight, and come back home for his country. I talk to him on a regular basis. We have these discussions before he was deployed. These are serious discussions. He does not expect me to commit perjury, to lie, and such. So when my son asked me, hey, what's happening with your government there in Sebastian? What's going on there? Why are they trying to overthrow the government? I say because I got one of them who's committed perjury. I have another one who's committed perjury, and I have a third who did make the mistake and has owned up to it, which I congratulate you tremendously, Vice Mayor Malty. That was a tough thing you did, and you showed your character when you did it. Like I said, anybody can make a mistake. You stepped up to the plate. You're going to be asked to step up to the plate one more time tonight, sir. It's going to be probably one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life. I'm sure you're friends with the councilman, as I am. Councilman Gilliams, I've known for over 20 years, and I support a lot of what he does. If this was an honest mistake, I'd still be supporting it because it was an honest mistake. But it's hard when you see all the evidence and all the lies and everything else.
30 seconds, Charles.
Yes, sir. Again, to commit perjury, you have to be under oath and knowingly lie about something. Mr. Malty, tonight is your opportunity to step up to the plate. You can end this nonsense tonight with a simple, let's get it done. And that's what the community is asking you to do tonight. Please finish this tonight and let's move on and get some business done. We're not done with this yet. It's going to be a long night.
Hello, my name is Deborah Schellenberger. I'm a resident of Sebastian. My husband and I just moved here. I'd like to say we haven't had the same experience as everyone else has had, but if you look at just the charges that are done, that have been brought against this gentleman, it's not like it was a DUI. It's not like it was shoplifting. These charges have to do with their responsibilities here in the council. I think it's a very fair thing to suspend someone until you know for sure. Okay, I mean, we are innocent until proven guilty, but I really do believe that you shouldn't be working here if these are charges that are referring to the council.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening once again, Dr. Bob, Sebastian, and Sebastian Chronicles.
That's Bob Betta, for the record.
The responsibility for civility lies with the council member / mayor with the gavel. Mr. Mayor, sir, you have dropped the ball big time with regards to Robert's Rules of Public Meetings, unfortunately. And that's why a lot of this has happened. Number two, I have been told, Mr. Mayor, that immediately after the election, you took it upon yourself to tutor the 3 newly elected council members on the Sunshine Law. That, to my understanding, is not your job and makes me scratch my head. Number 3, it is a matter of fact that Mr. Gilliams was served his legal papers on a Sunday, which violates state law. Number 4, all Americans are innocent until proven guilty. Mr. Gilliams and Ms. Paris are not guilty.
Gentlemen, please, no comments.
The decision before you tonight, my name is Bill Flynn, I live on Main Street. The decision tonight comes down to judgment. We know a couple council members showed very poor judgment on a night, that they knew what they were doing was wrong. You really have no other choice. Until this case is decided, we need to pull them off and see what the truth is. We have videotape of the crime. We have their records. Let's do the right thing. Mr. Motti, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Andrea Ring. I live in Corey Lane. Needs to be repaired. I'm talking about the resolution. The people seem to not have been able to get enough signatures on the petitions to force these recall. That's the way I see it, because they are not bringing up the numbers that they got. This is not what the vast majority of the citizens want. The vast majority is still saying leave them up there until they are proven guilty. And I believe this is a very dangerous precedent that's being set, and I really would not like to see it happen. And if you do it, why didn't you separate them and do one for each council member separately rather than grouping them together? And I don't think the citizens are for you doing this. I think you should let them, I don't know how you can reprimand them, but I think you should let them stay up there until they're proven guilty of these charges. This is just, you know, perjury is a very serious thing. Believe it or not, shoplifting is probably more serious than perjury, but hey, you know, what can I say? I don't think we should be doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak?
I have 4 people on Zoom.
Okay, bring them in.
Graham, you're unmuted.
Does that do it?
Yes,
Go
we can
ahead.
hear you.
Name, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Graham Cox. I live at 1213 George Street in Sebastian. I'd like to support the comments that Andrea Ring has just made. I think this resolution is outrageous. It's an interference in the election process. There's an opportunity coming for elections very soon. If you don't like them, you get rid of them. But don't do it this way. I urge you to vote no on this one. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Next person.
Bob, you're...
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
We can. Your name, please. I know who you are, but go ahead and
All
say
right.
it.
It's Bob McPartlin. My address is confidential, but everyone knows where I live. First off, I want to thank you, Mayor Dodd, for doing your absolute best to run these meetings. Every one of these meetings is like a train wreck or a car crash, and you have handled it with the utmost class and decorum, no matter the degree to which you are provoked, unless a person would have lost their composure and temper. Like you, I'm a meeting junkie. I've served and continue to serve on many executive boards throughout the Treasure Coast, Okeechobee, and the state of Florida. Never have I seen a council operate this way due to certain council members. The behavior exhibited towards peers, staff, the public, and anyone addressing this council is appalling. Pretty soon, you will see anyone who wants to consider business with the city decline. There will be a Sebastian charge added, probably 25% or greater, due to the abuse they receive at the hands of certain council members. If this council ever decided to terminate any charter officer or senior management employee, the talent pool would be greatly diminished due to the abuse inflicted upon them by certain council members. And when I reference some senior members, I'm talking about Ken Kilgore, Lisa Frazier, Dory Bosworth, and many others that work for the city. These are people I have seen incredible amount of respect for. To lose them would be detrimental to the city's operations. As a meeting junkie, I watch each meeting at least twice. I have long suspected there were sunshine law violations throughout. This past weekend, as there's nothing else to watch on TV, there's no Mets games, unfortunately yet, I reviewed every council meeting since this new council assumed their duly elected positions. It is clear and evident to me, as a trained investigator for the state of Florida for almost 20 years, that there were clear sunshine law violations, to include meetings involving every meeting that included the attorney hiring, the entire Robert Bedea appointment on the Natural Resources Board, the integrated pest management, and Albert Iovino's appointment to the Police Pension Board. Whether or not that could be proven in a court of law beyond the reasonable doubt may not happen, but the hundreds of calls and texts between certain council members is very clear and evident.
Yeah, 30 seconds, Bob.
I truly believe this criminal behavior continues to this day. The governor needs to step in due to these criminal and childish behaviors, as the city has fallen to the level of a laughingstock and complete disgrace of a duly elected body. The civic-minded recall group have shown what a true and reasonable protest looks like.
Okay, Bob, your time's up. Thank you.
Patty Sullivan, you're unmuted. Go ahead. You need to unmute. I can't hear you. Robert Stevens.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Your name, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Robert Stevens. I live at 150 Concert Drive. Thank you for having this on the air. I tried to get to the meeting live, but it was all full. I don't understand. This angry one-sided attack is not considering a few things, Mr. Mayor. And the new elected council members were elected because of these items here I'm going to mention. The poisoning of our waterways, the 20 years of using an Agent Orange type product and not paying any attention to the requests from the environmentalists. Also, the mismanagement of some of the money in our city. You know, not paying any attention to the death of our Indian River Lagoon. I think it's a good idea to bring the governor in. I think it's time we looked at some of this stuff. And how about when our last city manager doubled the stormwater fees, and then nobody's done anything for our stormwater management? I don't understand that. We have a great stormwater park that many people have spent a lot of money in their communities to get going. We don't even use it. The theatrics tonight are great. Where did all this hate come from? I don't understand this. What motivates these people? It's all one-sided. Benny and a few other people, Dr. Bob, they were on our side. I don't understand. Not wanting to know where our money's going, is that what motivates them? They don't want to know? I suppose that's a good idea. We could march into a gas chamber too, I suppose. Allowing any connection of an Agent Orange type poison to be sprayed in our backyard. Is that what they want? They won't want to know what people are spraying at them? I don't know. Mr. Mayor, thank you for letting me speak and rant my feelings. It's just my feelings. And I do appreciate the fact that we have the right to say something. But I don't think the whole picture is being seen. I think the governor should come in. I think we should have an investigation. I think we should open up our checkbook. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, the public.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom?
I have several. Patty Sullivan, you want to try it one more time? Danielle, you're unmuted.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Danielle Maradian. I'm a Sebastian resident. I've heard a number of people speaking about the idea of innocence until proven guilty, and I completely understand that from a legal standpoint. But in any other industry, it is assumed that if you are charged with breaking a law that has to do with your job, that you would be pulled from that job until it's done, right? So if a cop was accused of doing something on duty, they would obviously be pulled on admin leave, you know? So it's any other situation, any other industry, it would be a given, you know? If you're charged with criminal law violations that have to do with the job you're doing, you shouldn't be doing that job until it's decided. I don't understand why that's not common sense. The other thing I want to say is that there were a couple people who mentioned that the majority of voters support these two individuals. I just find that very suspect, given that there's only the same 5 to 10 people who actually speak in support of them. I want to know where they're getting those numbers from, because I don't think there's anything behind that. Again, there's maybe 5, maybe 10 people have spoken in support of them. It's the same ones. Whereas you hear people like myself, where I've never come on Zoom before. I have signed the petitions, but I have 3 kids. Like, this is bedtime. Like, I'm busy, right? But even I felt the need to make the time to be here just to show that, no, it's not true. There are way more of us than there are people who support them. You know, I think I think it's insane. The whole thing is entirely crazy. My family we're new residents to Sebastian. We've only been here for a year. At the last election, I honestly had no idea how bad this was going to be. Now I'm learning, and so I'm trying to be more involved. But I just don't think it's smart to allow the people who have been charged to continue to do a job where they're clearly been in violation. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for putting in this resolution. Again, I would state for the people who don't understand, this isn't definitive. This is just asking the governor to look. You know, he could still say, no, it's none of my business. Y'all have to figure it out yourself. But I don't think there's anything inappropriate with us asking. Yes, we may be a small town of Sebastian, but he's the governor for all of us. I don't think saying that we're just a small town means that he shouldn't have to work for us too. We matter. So anyone who thinks that are the same people who say like one vote doesn't count, but obviously every vote counts because that's what got us here in the first place. So thank you again, Mr. Mayor, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Victor Young.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Victor Young.
Please.
I live on, my name is Victor Young. I live on Ash Street. I just want to thank you for bringing this resolution about. I agree exactly with what Danielle was just saying. Any other type of place of business, if it's a law that has been broken and they have been charged to go along with something that is to do with their job duties, that person is normally put on suspension without pay until the legal process has gone through. I'm just asking that y'all would go ahead and support this resolution and have the governor do the exact same thing as we would require of any other type of business or corporation. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Sandy?
Yes.
You're...
Hi, my name is Sandy. My name is Sandy Vandermolen. I've been in Sebastian for 19 years. I raised my kids here. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Dodd. You're doing a great job. We really like you. I think this resolution is really just a request for the governor to step in. And I think if the two council members were so sure of their innocence and so sure that they're doing the right thing and so sure they're good to go, I think they would welcome the governor to step in and help us decide what's right and what's wrong. I think they should vote for yes. Show us what you got. And that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Michelle Peters?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you. My name is Michelle Peters. I have been a resident of Sebastian for 17 years. I wanted to thank Mayor Dodd for your extreme patience over the last few months and holding it together during these meetings, which they're just a train wreck that you cannot look away from. My feeling is that I fully support the resolution that's put forth today. If it wasn't enough for the council members to be under investigation by the state attorney, they lied under oath. They perjured themselves under oath after they were under investigation. It just shows that they will stop at nothing to get their point across, and it's a point that is just astronomical. I fully support the resolution to have the governor suspend them. As other people have stated, any other industry, they would have been suspended immediately until, while they were under investigation. And I believe that should be the case today. So,
all right, thank you
so very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Trying to see if our mic works one time. Patty?
No?
Go.
We're done? All right, council. He's been up once. I can't, does the council have a problem if I let him come up again? No problem? Okay.
You're letting him speak again?
I'm sorry?
You're going to let him speak
I'm
again?
asking, does the council have an issue?
Yeah, I have an issue. He's already spoken on this item, and we don't allow people to come back up.
Okay.
It becomes a tremendous...
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you,
please.
guys.
Sit down. Sit
Wait.
down. Come on, sit
Wait,
down. I understand what you're doing. Sit down.
Mayor Dodd.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Dodd, I'm speaking. Thank you, Damien.
I agree
can
with you, Jim.
stop.
I
Okay.
agree with you.
All right.
He's already spoken.
Jim, I agree with you.
You can't, I'm sorry, you can't speak again.
You shouldn't
Okay.
be able to speak twice.
No, he spoke once. That's
That's right.
enough.
That's
We have a
the
rule
rules.
against, I guess.
Those
Thank
are the
you.
rules.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
play
you.
by the rules. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
That's something you guys know how to do,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
Yeah. This could be contentious enough, so let's please keep the audience down and not make it any worse, please. All right, now, let's start with, I guess, with Councilmember Hill.
No, I'll just say, I think this makes complete and total sense. The behavior of the two individuals that we're speaking of has been abhorrent, and I think that asking the governor to take a look at the totality of what's taken place over the last several months is important. The city of Sebastian has a tremendous amount of work that we have to get done over the next couple of months, and we can't even get through a simple emergency meeting on face masks, which is incredibly important for our community. But we've got budget coming up. We've got real issues with the best management practices and integrated pest management thing we're looking at for the canals. We've got canal issues that we need to deal with, and we can't get through anything of any sort on the agenda. Now, these two individuals have been charged with serious crimes. These are serious crimes. If Mr. Gilliams is convicted, he faces up to 1 year and 18 months. Is it 1 year and 18 months, which would be 2.5 years in jail if convicted on all of these crimes? That's serious. I mean, I wouldn't want to get convicted. I wouldn't want to have to actually be fingerprinted, which I've never been, just so you all know. I wouldn't want to have to go to a jail to take a mugshot, which I've never had to do, thank God. Well, or thank myself for good behavior. How about we do that? I also wouldn't want to spend a weekend in jail. But these are serious, serious crimes that they have committed and that they have been arrested for after an extensive investigation. I have never in my life, as it was stated earlier, had to speak to an investigator who was investigating a crime, because I typically don't involve myself with individuals who are criminals. Unfortunately, that's been thrust upon me now. And so now the behavior of this individual has caused me to have to be interrogated. And it was fine. I told the truth, and it was real simple and easy. I told the truth. I have been on council on and off for over 20 years. And there's never, except for one individual, ever been a claim that I've done anything inappropriate or illegal or violated anything, sunshine law, or done anything that would cause any reason for me to be recalled in almost 20 years. We're talking about individuals that have been on for just a few months. And my, what a mess we have. We've got too much work to get done, Mayor Dodd. This is important stuff. This is not a game. I love Sebastian. And I agree, this is a sad day. I stay up at night all the time. I drive my wife insane because all I can think about is my beautiful city and what is to become of it if we don't do something and do something drastic. This is not asking the governor to do something, dramatic or overthrow an election. This is asking the governor to do his job and look into this incident and help us, help the citizens of Sebastian. We're talking about serious crimes. I absolutely support this. And I hope the governor looks at it, and I hope the governor does suspend these individuals, because I have never in my life sat up here with the dozens and dozens of council members who I've had many disagreements with. I have never in my life one time thought that the city council member who was sitting up here didn't care about this city. But I do right now. I feel we have city council members up here who don't care about our city, in fact, want to destroy it. And that's what they're working on right now, and we need to do better. And we need to do our part as people who care about this city to see that the governor looks into this. If we care about this city, If we give a damn about Sebastian, then we have to pass this resolution and ask the governor to help us.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Malden.
Much to the chagrin of most of the people that supported me, I'm going to vote in favor of this resolution.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Gilliams, Matt, please, no applause. But Councilmember Gilliams, let me let Councilmember Ferris talk first, if you don't mind, because she would normally be first in line. Councilmember Paris, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Dodd. I want to thank everyone for coming up, and especially Danielle and Sandra. You kind of hit it on the nail for me. You know, I've been here 38 years. I raised my kids here too. I'm not a politician. I got elected 6 months ago because I just have been here a long time. This is home and I care. But I do stand on my defense, and you know, I'm for the suspension if it's legal. My only concern, I'd like to ask the attorney, if we're removed, who's going to take our place? Who's going to take care of city business on the dais as a consensus with voting, et cetera? Is someone appointed? Would that be correct, Attorney Annie?
I believe, let me try to explain that, and I'll let Manny say something. Let's say the governor acts and suspends the two. We still have a quorum. We can still move forward. One of our first steps that we would do is to ask the city attorney to provide us options that we may, that might allow us to make sure that we continue to have a quorum for in case one of the three people is not able to attend the meeting. And I don't think he's actually done the research yet to determine. There is provisions in our charter for us to appoint temporary council members, but I'm not looking at that, and we just asked the city attorney based on the governor's action, if he takes it, to provide us options on that, and then let us make a determination which way we have to go with that.
All right, thank you. And honestly, I'm for the suspension. I have nothing to hide. And I don't know how long all of this court procedures will take, but whatever comes first, so be it. That's fine with me.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilliams, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, it's interesting to watch a recall group run by Jim Hill come in here and try to hijack the city council.
Please, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me. I sat here and listened to everybody. I have a right to speak. I mean, that's literally, I got pictures of Jim Hill training you guys out there at the park. Literally, I got pictures of him telling you guys how to do the recall. So listen, let's get a few things cleared here, okay? The 6 months I've been here, that same group has not come to this meeting, contribute anything to this council, to this city. You know what I call you? A bunch of thugs. Honestly. Because all you did was insult me, my family, my business. You could not bring anything productive to the table. None of you. With your leader, Andy and Tina Hodges of the Sebastian Daily. You should be ashamed of yourselves, all of you. He's not even a newspaper, he's a blog. And let me
Point of order, Mayor Dodd.
Councilmember
Gilliams.
He is spreading the poison.
Councilmember Gilliams.
I sat here and listened, Mr. Mayor.
All right, and I asked them to be civil, and I'm asking you to be civil.
Yeah, well, Jim Hill was not civil. Okay, let me move on. Let me get to the point here. Let me just get to the point. It's not illegal to call somebody 1,000. I could call somebody 300,000 times. If you understand the law and how it works, I can text somebody 1,000,000 times. That does not mean you break the law. Okay? It does not. Read the Florida Sunshine Law Handbook and understand it. Okay? These are allegations. You're a lynching mob. That's what you're looking to do. And you're doing it under the direction of the mayor, who's illegally doing it under the charter. He doesn't have the authority to direct the city attorney. He needs to do it with a consensus of this board to draw up this resolution. So let's just get the legal ramifications out on the table. First of all, to just do 2 people is absurd. I'm going to leave it at that. But it's unconstitutional, okay? It's unethical, and there'll be ethical charges filed, and it's a $10,000 violation to violate. ethical behavior, and that goes for the city attorney and the Florida bar, because I'm not playing games. I'm here for the long haul, and I'm going to take you to task, sir. Every one of you. So you can spread all the stuff you want. I will get my day in court. I am innocent till proven guilty in a court of law, not a kangaroo court, Mr. Dodd. Made up of an angry mob of malcontents who want to overthrow and overturn the will of the people who duly elected me to root out the corruption and special interests in our city government. King Dodd continually exceeds his authority, but I will prevail, and justice will finally be served in Sebastian, and I will get my day in court, just like everybody is entitled to. And when you have a conflict of interest and you're voting on something up here, you better disclose it. Those people know who they are.
What's the conflict?
Excuse me, sir. Don't be rude.
What's the conflict?
Don't be rude.
I'm not being rude. I'm asking you a question.
Did I interrupt?
You're accusing someone of having a conflict.
I sat here quietly while everybody spoke, and you're being rude.
Go ahead and finish.
You can't help yourself, King Dodd, can you?
Go ahead and finish.
Okay? If you go back to the tapes, that's all you ever do is interrupt people when you don't like what they have to say. This is my time. Let me speak. I'm in defense of myself.
You have very little left.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, listen, I'll thank you later. Okay?
Yes, you will.
Like you thank everybody. I want to thank you, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank you. Jim, I got your number. I watched you for 40 years. Believe me, you're more corrupt than anybody in this town. We all know about what you get at the golf course. That's all going to come out. So let me finish. The bottom line here is you couldn't do it on a recall. You need the help of the governor. And the governor's going to, I want him to look at it, because I've already wrote him as well. Okay? And I hope that he sends an investigator down here to look at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the things that I brought to this community, thanks to the former chief, Michelle Morris, who sent it to her friend down there in Fort Pierce. I understand we got powerful people involved with things that are going on down here. I understand that. And when I took the oath of office, I said that I would follow through. Couldn't get the investigation done by this council because obviously they're weak. They don't want the truth to come out, but it's going to come out. And I understand why you're attacking me. I get it. Yeah, I don't sit kindly when the city manager, brings his friends over here from west coast of Florida with fluffed up contracts of $500,000.
Mayor Dodd, I would
Excuse me, Jimmy.
move to call the roll because now we're getting some more baseless allegations.
This is why
I make a motion to call the roll.
This is why you want to remove
Councilmember
me.
Gilliams, I'm letting you speak, so put your arm down and
tell him
talk.
to calm down.
Put your arm down.
I sat down
I don't need to calm down, sir. But you're making baseless accusations. They are not facts. This is the problem.
Wait till we put the checkbook on the internet, sir.
Are you close to done?
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
I make a motion to call the vote.
No, listen.
Mayor Dodd, point of order.
This is what I'm talking about.
Mayor Dodd, point of order.
All right, I have a motion to call a previous question. It requires a four-person vote to do that. So let's take a roll. Council, would you please call a roll? And this is to call a question.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
Councilmember Paris?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Motti?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliams?
No.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve Resolution R20-09, right?
Yes.
R20-09.
An affirmative vote.
An affirmative vote on that is approval.
Yes.
And the yay is an approval to direct the city attorney to forward this resolution to the governor's office. A nay vote is to not direct him to do that. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Gilliams?
No.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
Councilmember Paris?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Motti?
Yes.
The resolution passes 4-1.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
I make a motion to table the remaining items on the agenda indefinitely.
We We have a motion
You
to
can't,
table the remaining items on the
I
agenda.
object. You can't modify, you cannot modify. This
Motion,
is an emergency
that's not a
meeting.
modification, that's a motion to table. We have a motion to table remaining items on the agenda. Do we have a second on that motion? I'll second that motion for discussion purposes. All right. We have a motion to table
That's not for
remaining items on
discussion.
the agenda.
There's actually not discussion.
There is no discussion. You're right. There is no discussion on a table motion.
Right. Parliamentary procedures allows for anyone to.
Correct. You're correct.
Table
You're
any
correct.
items.
You're right.
These items can be removed from the table with a vote of 3 people.
Yes. So we have a motion to table items C, D, E, F, G, and H. That motion is seconded. There is no discussion. Let's have a vote, please. There is no discussion on a table motion. No, there's not. No, there's not.
There is a discussion.
There is no discussion on the motion to table. Correct?
There is no discussion on the motion to table.
So we have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Paris?
Let me understand this. I find this very interesting and really contrary to what I've learned lately, so I'd like to learn more about it, but not tonight. So I really don't feel like I had adequate time to prepare for what's on this agenda. So if there's a table, that's what I'm requesting or expecting. I can't really give a vote.
That's what the
Education.
The vote is actually to table these items until they're brought off the table at a previous meeting.
What are we tabling?
Yes.
All of them.
All
What
of
are we
them.
tabling? Can you read them to the
We're
record,
tabling
please?
C, D, E, F, G, and H.
Yeah, I would like for the headings, they're my motions, and you're tabling my motions. Can you read them?
Councilmember Ferris, I don't believe that.
We are in the middle of a roll call vote.
I don't believe that that you can
I want the community
abstain.
to know what you're
Councilmember
tabling.
Gilliams, would you be quiet, please?
I want the community to know.
I want you to
Read the
suspend,
motions.
or I may have the officer remove you from the room.
Oh, really?
Try me on it.
Point of order.
After I explain to Councilmember Paris, please. Councilmember Paris, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
the motion that Councilmember Hill made was to table items C, D, E, F, G, and H until a future meeting. At that point in time, they can be brought off the table, discussed, and voted on.
Well, I understand that, but I don't see it necessary to remove all of them tonight. I think that Councilman Gilligan should be entitled to his time like Vice Mayor Monti did and everyone else. when
Okay,
it
so
came to the
vote no.
So then you have to vote no on the motion then.
No.
Okay. Continue the
Mayor
roll call,
Dodd?
please. Yes.
Vice Mayor Marty?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliams?
No.
And Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
The
Those
motion
tables are
carries.
motion. Given that fact that those items have been tabled, this meeting is adjourned. Nope.